I started reading Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. I've gotten to page 220, 221 in this book. This is like a really great read for Halloween, just for like that Halloween, fall, spooky vibe seasons. It's just a lot of spirits, not ghosts, but spirits in this book. It's been really good to experience so much Mexican tradition and culture and just all of that language. I don't know how authentic it is, but to me, it's giving very authenticity. Not just the words used, but just so much of the intricacies of the culture that is just put in there. I'm loving Yadriel. I'm loving Maritza. She's that girl. She's so interesting. Miss Dogs on her hip. I'm living for her. I will say about the writing, I'm not enjoying some of it. It's a little wordy and it's a little telling at times. For instance, when it comes to how like people's facial expressions or like their expressions in response to something somebody said, sometimes it's shown and it's like given like a little bit more detail so that you could like picture it in your head. And there are times when you're getting like, he gave him a withering look. Or somebody would like glower at somebody else. And it was just kind of like, yeah, I kind of have an idea of what that is, but it still feels vague because it's just telling me what it is instead of showing me. And I would prefer that even if you're going to tell me they glowered, like, did they squint? Did they screw their face up? But then again, there are moments when there is a little too much showing, or maybe even telling, where it's just like somebody said something and then this person said it and they said it a particular way. And I'm like, it's kind of implied by the dialogue. But I also get it, this is young adult. Sometimes you might need to spell it out a little bit more. But about the story, let's talk about the story, okay? Right now, I really want to know what happened to Miguel and I really want to know what happened to Julian. But I think I know who, because this is pretty much a murder mystery, I think I know who the perpetrator is. And I'm pretty convinced it is Tio Catrice. Because there's so much allusions to him without trying to make them obvious. But I also feel like those allusions, although they're played in a subtle manner, I think it might be a misdirect. And it might actually just be that it's somebody else. Like maybe Tio Isaac might have been the perpetrator, is the reason why Miguel and Julian are spirits. As a matter of fact, where is Miguel? I would like to know where Miguel is. Where is his body? And why we can't see him because he's probably like tethered to his body or tethered to his Also, there's Theo Isaac, and I think like he kind of got described, and I felt like how he was kind of talked about and described, it was giving. That sounds a little suspicious, but it was real brief. So it was just like not enough time for you to think like, oh yeah, this might be a perpetrator. Like, no, we getting a little bit more Tio Catrice, and I'm thinking Tio Catrice might be a misdirect. Because then I'm like, why would Tio Catrice do it though? Like, what is his issue? Because I mean, I get it, he's the black sheep, and it might actually just be Tio Isaac, but it's like, why would you do that though? Why are you doing this to people? Why did this even happen? Was it a sacrifice thing? What's going on? Like, and I also want to know is, are we gonna bring Julian back to life? Because I'm hearing a little talk that's sounding like, oh, we might be able to bring him back to life. Well, not really we might be able to bring him back to life, but it's sounding like, I wish we could bring him back to life, but we can't. We're not able to do that, or Julian deserves to live, kind of thing. And it's just like, it's sounding like Julian's going to find a way to live. And then we got the story on the Jaguar? I have a feeling that the La Gara de Jaguar, I believe is how you pronounce it. But I have a feeling that is going to play into like Julian being able to be like brought back to life. And if Julian is brought back to life, will Miguel also be brought back to life? And then additionally, if he is brought back to life, and I believe this is the start of a series, I might be wrong about that. I will find out at the end. If Julian is brought back to life, what is life gonna be like? Or is he just gonna go to Lady Death and we'll only see him on Dia de Muerte? Check back for the thrilling conclusion of Cemetery Boys. I just finished Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. I started off enjoying it, but coming closer to the end, I was just like, I was kind of like very over the romance. From my understanding, this book took place in like less than a week, probably within 5 days or something like that. And the romance kind of happened, I guess, on a Wednesday or a Thursday or something like that. It just kind of happened in the middle of the week, and it just fast tracked. And I guess this is what we call insta love, because it just felt so much. Like, it was just so much romance. Not even so much romance, but like the feelings were just so intense. And I was just kind of like, like, didn't y'all just meet a while ago? And then additionally, when y'all really started transitioning over into the romance, I guess because we were getting it from the third person limited perspective of Yadriel, it felt one-sided. To me, it just kind of was like perceiving that Julian might have been interested, but it wasn't necessarily the truth. I felt like we needed to still kind of build up to more romance. Like, it could have been like, okay, this is the start of something new, it's budding. And by the end, it was just like, okay, we're about to be in a relationship. We're boyfriends now. Like, it's done. But I also kind of get it that they are teenagers, and I can't relate because I'm an adult and the hormone levels aren't there like it used to be, where we in a relationship so fast. Like, I mean, I never really been through that as a teenager, but still, at the end of the day, you've been through 2 years of a relationship in like a month or 2 months or something. So I kind of get it, but it's like in a week though, I feel like we could have took a little bit more time to get here. But I also kind of get that Julian and Yadriel were in close proximity with each other for so long, for so often. They were just kind of like in each other's presence, so it kind of built up a connection. But I also feel like, nah. Nah, maybe it's a connection because of the portaje, and Yadriel was wearing Julian's portaje for like so long. They had built like a spiritual connection, so that's why at the end Julian was as fiercely in love with Yadriel as he was. But it just felt like, I don't know, because some of the more romantic scenes and just like being in each other's heads were kind of like, it was draining. It was draining me. It was draining the story for me. And I was just kind of like, just like, can we just find out who's the perpetrator, who's trying to kill people and why they're doing it and like what's going on? Like, I just want that. But it's like this romance, girl, she's a little draining and I'm kind of over it. Like, can we get to the actual mystery of thing? What happened? Was I right? And I was right. It was Tio Catrice. And I was just kind of like, I mean, I was kind of hoping that I would be surprised by like it would have been somebody else. It would have been Tia Catrice and other people, but you know, I'm fine. I'm fine. Although technically the book is like 342 pages. I actually felt like it could have been a little less than that. Could have been 300, because I felt like the romance kind of took up a little bit, because I felt like the pacing was a little all right, because it kind of gave you a little bit more passage of time, but at the same time I also felt like dialogue and conversations dragged out a little bit, and I just felt like the romance kind of dragged out a little bit. There were times when it was coming up and I was like, can we cut this short? And I get a feeling that Aiden Thomas felt the same way too, because they kind of cut the conversation short at certain points where I was starting to get tired of it. Like, I was getting tired of this dialogue. I'm getting tired of hearing about this relationship. And at that moment, some action cut in. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's get to it, because could we not? It was a little bit longer than I needed. And it had me thinking about Pet, which kind of was its own mystery thriller situation. It had something that we had to kind of solve. It integrated other things like family and friendships and stuff like that, but we still kept up with the mystery. It wasn't too long, and I felt like, to be quite honest, this could have been shorter. I'm glad that I picked up on the clues and I enjoyed it. I just was not here for the romance, or like in the author's acknowledgments, Yadrian. This was a great book to read during Halloween and for Latina Heritage Month. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I am out this bitch like Fleek. Shout out to Peaches. Thank you, girl.